there's the music, to another episode of It Builds Character. If you don't know what It Builds Character is, this is a show where I do things mostly every week, where I sit down and spend about an hour or so with you guys, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, and I take a concept that you guys have suggested, and I try and build them as a D&D 5e character. I have a set of parameters that I use. I'll list them here. I really should make a command for this, but I haven't gotten around to it. Characters are built at level 12. That gets you more than halfway through your character's advancement to level 20, so you have a lot of options to get the cool stuff. I build them with standard array stats. That way I have to do less work on my end as far as trying to think of what goes where. And it also helps to keep things concise and consistent. I also try to do minimalized homebrew as much as possible. So I try not to do a homebrew class if I can help it. I try not to do homebrew races if I can help it. The only time I typically do any kind of homebrewing is for magic items. Because one, magic items are something that I'm probably the most comfortable with in homebrewing myself. I feel like I've done that a ton for my own games, and I feel like I'm in a pretty good, spot as far as balance goes. And on top of that, those are things that I feel like more DMs are more than likely to allow in their own game. And the reason being, most of the characters that I build, with the exception of the homebrew magic items, are easily replicatable at your own table with minimal effort on your part. Obviously, you may have to de-level yourself to whatever level your campaign is at, and if you roll stats or have some other method of determining it, you can end up usually being at the point the characters are at level 12 when I build them, much earlier, therefore giving yourself some leeway to have more fun with it. So, that's out of the way up front. We do have two sponsors that sponsor us here on the stream, in Initiative Coffee Company and Elderwood Academy. They're great friends of the channel and awesome people who provide the coffee that keeps me going and the cool gaming products that you see me using every week on stream, whether they be dice towers, dice boxes, that kind of thing, rolling trays. They're awesome people, and I highly recommend you check out those products. If you purchase from Elderwood with that link, a piece comes back to the channel, and then you can use the coupon code we have with Initiative Coffee Company to get yourself a little bit off of your order. So that is that. And yes, thank you, Ash. Thank you again, everybody who's hanging out in the chat. Whether you're a veteran of Nerd Immersion and It Builds Character, welcome. Whether you're somebody new here just because you love Digimon, Wargreymon specifically, or other Digimon, or you're just really intrigued what the hell I'm going to do trying to make a Digimon a character in Dungeons & Dragons. You know what? I'm in the same boat, to be honest with you. So, why am I building Wargreymon tonight? What's the process? So, I made the decision 2 years ago when I sat down to do the very first It Builds Character on my birthday. I said, hey, Castlevania Netflix series came out. It was one of my favorite shows of all time. I really want to build Trevor Belmont. And I want to make him a D&D character, and I think it'd be cool to share that experience with you guys. And what came from that, very quickly, and still comes consistently, were suggestions of what to build next. And I made the statement from the first episode and on, you name it, and I'll try and build it. And sometimes that's led to some really awesome things. Other times it's led to some weird ones. And then sometimes it leads to us to where we are tonight. Not only is Wargreymon a Digimon, and I guess you could argue that Wargreymon is the protagonist of the main series, the original or main series of Digimon. But, I mean, again, if you're not familiar with Digimon, this is going to be, a lot of this is going to be lost on you. But if you're familiar with the show or with Pokemon or something like that, this is a creature that is befriended to a human character. In this case, Tai, I believe, was the main character. I haven't watched Digimon in 20 years. Maybe a little less than that. Maybe it was 15 years, but whatever. And essentially, the way a Digimon works is they have a form that they are in, and they could do a thing called digivolving, where they gain an upgrade in power and change in physical shape. But unlike, say, a Pokemon, where that transformation is permanent, Digi-evolutions are sometimes momentary. The best way I could describe it would be something along the lines of being akin to going Super Saiyan, right? Something like that, for those of you familiar with Dragon Ball Z. You're activating an ability or accessing a power that boosts you up significantly, but is not always consistently attainable. And there are steps to get there between your base form and all the way up to this form. Again, I feel like Pokemon's a lot more well-known than Digimon, but we're basically trying to build a Pokemon, or a Digimon in this case, which is normally, like, the thing you would normally try to build, I'd say, from a character building perspective on my end, would be, like, they're not trainers, but, you know, the Digi-destined. You'd be building a Digi-destined class, or character, right? The human counterpart who has their abilities, or have whatever they have, and then have this as basically a pet or a companion, or like building a Pokemon trainer class. Not building the actual Pokemon or Digimon. But we're gonna try. Because this is gonna be a little weird. So, for those of you who don't know, I guess I can jump over here to D&D Beyond. So, we are not sponsored by D&D Beyond yet. If you guys feel like telling the folks from D&D Beyond, and I do know a handful of them myself, I'd love to tell you that this stream was powered by D&D Beyond. It is not, but that's what we're going to be using to build the characters, because it's a great visual option for you guys to see how I'm building it. It also takes a lot of the legwork of having to type things out, which when I used to do this, if you watch the original episodes, I was literally typing it into a PDF, which was me click-clacking on the keyboard, and it took even longer. This cuts down a lot of that. It cuts out a lot of the guesswork, and it also is nicely exportable for me to put a PDF in a doc file so you can go see it. So, first of all, the first decision that we have to make is race. So, normally, like I said, I try to do minimal amounts of homebrew races. Or building a Digimon. That is what they are. And that's a little weird when you think about it, right? Because the Digimon they all look different, and they all have multiple iterations. So we're trying to build. So I guess step one, as far as some clarifying points up front, we are not trying to build Agumon or Greymon or Metal Greymon to get to Wargreymon. We are building just Wargreymon. So we sort of need to ignore all of the previous Digi-evolutions. We are focusing just on Wargreymon. So what race is Wargreymon? So the obvious choice, I feel like, would be Dragonborn, right? Because that's kind of he's a dragon dinosaur type creature. I think he's technically like a dragon, or is he a dragon killer? Beyblades was the top battle show, just to throw that out there while we're talking about it. So I'm pretty sure he was he was classified as a dragon type Digimon. So that's why Dragonborn makes sense. I hate Dragonborn in 5th edition because they're so supremely underpowered compared to other races, so I don't want to use Dragonborn as a race. So let's just have some fun real quick while we're going through this, and let's browse races and see if somebody made a Digimon race, because you never know. And I don't often try to take other things that have been created on D&D Beyond, because it's the same kind of thing you get on like D&D Wiki, right? Where it could be literally like, here, this is a race is a sandwich, right? This is going to be another series in the future, combing through D&D Beyond to just look at random stuff. A sandwich can have this as organ and skin, bread, lettuce, tuna, swords, fire, the answer for life, a new universe, ham, cheese, mayo, or chicken, but lettuce is in you always, and you always become your wings. Alright. You get my point. You can find anything here. There's no Digimon race. There is no... Agumon race. And that's going to make me assume there's not going to be any Greymon. Yeah. Alright, it was just a really stupid idea. But a thought that, you know, you never know, right? Yeah, I thought they were... I know Agumon was... They were dinosaur-esque, but I thought they had, like... I thought I remember there was, like, classes of Digimon. Like, you know, it's a warrior class Digimon. Or a dragon class Digimon. Or a dragon warrior Digimon. And I remember Wargreymon had, like, the special claws that did extra damage to certain kinds of creatures. Were they dragons? Did he dragon killer or something like that? Agumon says pepper breath, and he shoots the fire. Wargreymon had, I think, he had some big explosion attack, and he had a tornado, and he had a big shield that he could defend himself with, and, like, these nasty claws. I want to say it was, like, Brave Shield, I think was the name of the shield itself. So, I mean, this is also, we can just sort of talk this out a little bit, too, right, while we're here thinking about this. We're stuck here on race at the moment, but we can think about some other things. So, he had this Brave Shield ability, this big, like, equivalency, I guess you could call it, of like a tower shield for some sort of defense. So we could look at that as some sort of martial or physical defensive shield, right? Because he did have armor, he did have these big nasty claws, he had wings so he could fly, he had the ability to potentially, again, wear heavy armor and carry a big shield. You could also treat this potentially as a shield spell or a shield of faith spell, granting a boosted AC that way. Had a thing, so a tornado move, so had some sort of wind or tornado-like magic, and then had that explosive move. It was basically like a really powerful energy beam or blast or shot. So I'll look it up while we're going through this, but it could, that could be a disintegrate spell or something along those lines, like if that's how you want to think about to try to classify the attack as something. So right now we're looking like we could be some kind of martial mixed with spellcasting, but he was just like a bulky dinosaur dude with metal wings and stuff. Let's see. I think Digimon is the most complicated lore compared to Pokemon. Yes, absolutely. He could be a dragon marked. That's true. We could do a dragon marked race. Pull some Eberron. Yeah. So, and again, if you haven't seen him, they just look so doofy. The higher level Digi-evolutions look stupid in my mind. But he's got these big ass, like T-Rex feet. Big, like tiny, like muscular, veiny body. With these big ass, like Wolverine claws on his hands. Or like, I guess more like Vega from Street Fighter. Because they're not like out of his hands Wolverine claws. But they're like a gauntlet with big old metal claws on it. He's got a metal helm with horns and like an Allosaurus horn, a big one on the front. Metal sort of form-fitting breastplate. He's got like a tabard going down that's made out of metal. Big spiky shoulder pauldrons. Big metal wings out his back. I think there's big metal wings, and then the big shield is on his back as well. So it looks just dumb, in my opinion, if I'm being honest. But yeah, that's where we're at. Oh, that's true. Ooh, Warforged. I didn't think about that. You're right. So again, as we've discussed very, very explicitly so far in this chat, Digimon has the weirdest lore. So they're in a digital world, and they're people from the human world, and they're all like, everything is computery codey and stuff. So I guess we could go with Warforged. Yeah, Half Dragon Warforged. There is a thing. I don't think it exists here in D&D Beyond. Maybe we can find it. There were Warforged that were Dragonborn, I think, or something like that in Eberron. I think they were called like the Dragon Forged. I believe. I wonder if that's someone made that. I'm not seeing like a dragon forged race. I don't see one. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, this looks like it. This might be what we use. Let me see if I can. I have the original document that it's from. Stand by. And I'll just confirm that this is it. Well, it's like Morgrave. So if we go check out this PDF here, which was made by Keith Baker, or he was at least part of it. It's classes. See, check that out, right? How cool is that? Alright, so this is not it perfectly, but that looks like it. Alright. Strength 2, Intelligence 1, Warforged Resilience, Forged Scale, and then Draconic Fission, you know, Gust Cantrip when you reach 3rd level, Chromatic Orb, and 5th level, Dragon's Breath. This looks very much like it. They don't have the tooltip. See, this is the problem when people make it on D&D Beyond 2. You never know what you're going to get. So they give him Constitution increases by 1. What about this guy? Constitution increases by 2. Energy Beam. No thank you. Alright, well, we're going to try that one. We could try one more thing. We can... Oh, that was racist. Alright, so let's go back to our Wargreymon character builder. And we'll see if we can't add... whatever we just had. Dragon Forged. Were they a... Ah. Oh, Warforged? There it is. Two-weapon fighting style with something representing claws. There is no spiked gauntlet in 5e, strangely enough. So the way you could deal with that, and that's kind of how you're supposed to deal with it. And I think a lot of us old school D&D players really want all of our item types, right? We want our spiked gauntlet, we want our scythe, we want a katana, we want a bastard sword. We want all of these things to be a unique, specific, a falchion, right? All these specific types of items. And in 5e, basically, that's sort of how they work it. It's just like, if it's sort of like this, then that's what it is. Like, a katana is a long sword. You just reskin the name, make it look different physically in the world, but it still functions mechanically like a like a longsword. So you could say that a spiked gauntlet would be basically like the equivalent of, like, I don't know, maybe a short sword or a dagger. And it would do the same thing, just, you know, wouldn't be... We call it a spiked gauntlet, it would actually be something else. So we may... If we're going to do the Dragon Killer piece... I would say we just do a Dragon Slayer. Whatever the weapon is Dragon Slayer. The magic item type, which gives you bonuses against dragons. So that, I think, handles that piece. So let's choose our Draconic Fission. What do we get here? You can cast a Chromatic Orb spell once with this trait and regain the ability when you finish a long rest. Oh, people don't know how to do it. See, they just made it choose a spell. It's supposed to give you Chromatic Orb, which is not an option. It's supposed to give you Chromatic Orb and then Dragon's Breath, and they gave you the entire spell, all the spells. Wow, that's dumb. We'll do that. Okay, so we have our race. Now comes the class. So part of me wants to say, like, fighter, right? Because it's a fighter type. I think we can make that argument. I don't think anybody would really fight me too hard on that. However, there are all of the magic stuff, but he's not a magician. There are clearly magician type Digimon that exist. Hey, listen, yeah, I'm... You know, I mean, I've been playing 5e for 5 years at this point, but there's still things that I do miss from 3.5. Like, I'm going to be playing a character in an upcoming campaign that has a scythe as a weapon. And scythes were okay in 3.5. Their whole benefit from 3.5 was they had a 4 times critical multiplier. So you could just destroy house if you scored a crit. That's not the case in 5e. So basically what I did was took a 5e's greatsword and just saying that it's a scythe. So it looks like a scythe, and it functions like a scythe in the real world, you know, in the game, but it's just the same stats as a greatsword, because that's one of the better items in the game as far as damage goes. And, I mean, I probably could have made it, like, the same as a great axe, but, I don't know, rolling 2d6 feels good, so. Okay, so, let's talk class. So we could get away with some of the unique abilities and have them basically be limited access through a magic item, or just given an ability or a feat or something like that to give you the tornado ability and that explosive shot thing we were talking about. The shield could just be a physical shield, or it could be an animated shield. Probably makes actually the most sense, the magic item. So that gets us there. So then it's what kind of, you know, class are we looking at? Definitely was a physical fighter, for sure. It was beefier and it could take a hit. So I don't think I would go Barbarian. I don't feel like that makes a lot of sense to me. So I wouldn't go, I would not go Barbarian. I would not go... I didn't have activate, like, Critical Role content, but I don't think I would go with, like, a Blood Hunter. I don't think that really makes sense, and I don't think I'd go with an Artificer either. That doesn't really make sense. You could say Paladin, maybe, but I think there are better Paladin-like Digimon in the world. So Fighter could definitely be an option. And then I think Fighter, and then we have options within Fighter. You could be a Champion Fighter. You could be a Battle Master Fighter. Could be a Samurai. All of those options, or the Brute from Unearthed Arcana could also be an option. I could go in and put that. I could activate Unearthed Arcana content. It's real easy to do. All of these things are pretty simple. But it doesn't get us that magical capability. But I don't know that that's something we want to rectify with the class, because he's not a wizard or a warlock or a cleric or something like that. There are very clearly Digimon who are like that, right? That do spells, that are spell-casty types. Because especially some of these other Digimon, when they get to the higher forms, they're humanoid in appearance. Like, they look like a cleric. Like, they have a human appearance, which is kind of weird when you think about it. Because, like, some of them are like this big dinosaur monster creature, and some of them look like an angel woman. So... so Searing Sunburst, yes, is definitely really like Sun Soul Monk a lot. Also, I want to say thank you to you guys for hanging out here and chatting with me. And by the way, if you are in the chat and you're not speaking up, you obviously don't feel obligated to. Lurkers are more than welcome. But if you do have things or thoughts and you want to chime in, by all means. I mean, if Digimon isn't your jam, that's cool. I do appreciate the support, you hanging out. So, hey, lurkers are always welcome. We do appreciate you, especially when you guys come and help out and play in all our little mini games and stuff. My gut is really leaning me towards fighter and giving some sort of limited magic item use to let him do the tornado and the Terra Force attack. Because, like, you could say Eldritch Knight fighter, right? And then, like, he'd get Fireball, I guess, Lightning Bolt, and that could do damage, but they're not, like, big deal. I mean, Searing Sunburst is essentially a Fireball, too, as far as damage goes. So you could make that argument. Paladins don't have any kind of AoE or anything like that. And I don't think he fits into, like, a Warlock or something like that. And yes, I could hear the argument Hexblade, right? I could get behind that argument, you know, a Hexblade, so boosts Charisma, get your physical capabilities, and then also still have your magic. But I don't think that really works, because I don't think Wargreymon is a Charisma-based character. I think Wargreymon is a strength-based character, primarily, with a couple of other tricks up its sleeve. So I'm leaning Fighter. We're going to level 12, like we discussed. Alright. Let's go and set our ability scores. So standard array is 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. I think we're going to put a 15 in strength. 14 in, or we'll put a 14 in strength, I think, and a 15 in con, so we get that racial boost here. We're sitting at, we should get a racial boost, but it doesn't look, oh, okay, so they did, even though it said that in the funky thing, we did get the right boost here. So we're gonna put 13 intelligence, gonna get charisma is gonna be our 8, dex is gonna be a 10, and wisdom is 12. So there's our stats as we stand right now. Falcon Punch, people. Alright. So let's choose our proficiencies. We're gonna go with athletics, obviously. And I feel like intimidation also works. So fighting style. We talked about a 2-weapon fighting style using the dual claws. I like that, so I'm gonna say we do that. 2-weapon fighting. Now we come up to our martial archetype. So these are our ones that we can look at. You can ignore Bone Knight and Templar. Those are homebrews. So Purple Dragon Knight is garbage. No one should ever play it. I could talk ad nauseum about it. Worst fighter archetype, followed very closely second by Arcane Archer due to how it's hamstrung itself. So no. Cavalier is a mounted rider type class. Has some cool abilities, absolutely. In like its Knight's Stance and that kind of thing, or Knight's Challenge or whatever it's called. Where is it? Is it this? I don't remember. I'm thinking 3-5, but I can protect people. Again, the Born to Saddle doesn't really help at all. Warding Maneuver is you can get some help boost some people and hold the line. They're cool abilities, but I don't think the Cavalier really fits here. Champion is always a decent go-to for me because you can just be like, you're just better at hitting things. Like I said, we could go Eldritch Knight and get a mixture of magic and melee in that respect, and we could have spells like Fireball or Lightning Bolt, and we could argue that that is our Terra Force ability. I'm tending to lean away from Battlemaster because I don't see a lot of tactician-based stuff going on. I don't know. There is the Brute Unearthed Arcana class, which is essentially champion fighter, but instead of doing increased critical hit damage or percentage, you're doing increased damage. So Brute it follows pretty much the exact same path, just you are getting boosted overall damage rather than boosted options that hit crits. Cast a cantrip, make a weapon attack. You hit a creature with a weapon attack. The creature is disadvantaged on the next saving throw against a spell you cast before the end of your next turn. Bonded weapon. That's kind of useless in this scenario. So I'm basically down to Eldritch Knight and Champion. Thoughts? I'd like to hear your guys' feedback. Eldritch Knight gets us some magic, so we could choose. I think at 12 we'd have third level spells. I think. I may be totally wrong on that. We may not even get those till. Those are still on Eldritch Knight. Let's see. Do we even get third level spells? That may be our determining factor here. Nope, we don't. Cool. Never mind. Can't even get Fireball. Champion it is. Okay. Champion fighter. We're going to choose our additional fighting style. It's going to be, excuse me, defense. So now we have some boosted AC. We have our 2-weapon fighting. I'm going to get an ability score here. We're going to go with probably ability score improvement. To come here, we're going to boost our strength. Oops, our strength twice. That'll put us at 18 strength. Strength 2 more times, put us at 20 strength. Oops, stop doing that. What did I put? I did make my intelligence really high? No, I made it mediocre, so that's fine. So we don't get a bonus to Constitution. Huh. Interesting. I may make this 15 and this 14. Go back here, swap one of these out for an ability score improvement, and I'll give us, say, athlete. Choose strength. That should still put us at 20. Yep. Then we'll go down here. We'll add 2 more to our constitution. Make us a little hardier here. Yeah. And then I think I'm just gonna give us tough. Dual wielder. Okay. Choose our background. This ought to be funky because we're a Digimon. Soldier? I don't know. Outlander? Yeah, maybe. Hermit, they were kind of on their weird other area. Some of the Ravnica ones are probably relevant, right? Because Ravnica is kind of mytho-magic-y with like the technology and stuff. But I don't know enough about Ravnica to know how to choose that. I guess the Outlander could work. They're out on that island, right? Or wherever they are in the digital world. Oh, we could go with Far Traveler, because they're from the digital world. Yeah, Far Traveler. They're from the digital world. And they're proficient with horns. And languages don't matter. Actually, neither does that. You bet all eyes would be on them. You know, it doesn't even matter with this, so we'll just jump over here. Alright, here is Wargreymon as he stands currently. We're going to go here, we're going to give him some items. He's got a couple of spells here in Gust, Chromatic Orb, Dragon's Breath. Let's get some armor here. First of all, I'm going to go here, we're going to go Animated Shield. Add. Equip. Attune. And we're going to go here, and we're going to call it Brave Shield. See that? Now we're making it Digimon specific. We're going to say Dragon. We'll make it a longsword. Dragon Slayer longsword. We're going to add 2 of them. They are not attunement. So they are both being wielded. Where's our, oh, and our armor class is from our... How's it determined? 15 plus our proficiency bonus? 15 plus your proficiency bonus. And you count as both Dragonborn and Warforged. You gain no benefit from wearing armor, but if you're using a shield, you can apply the shield's bonus. So... that answers that. Okay. So we have our 2 Dragon Slayer longswords that we're wielding in either hand. It's not recognizing the dual wielder part of it, but we'd have a +1 AC while we're wielding a weapon. Oh, Mizium armor. So right now, our armor class is 17 without any armor on at all. You know what? Here, let me go check. I may have to... We count as a Warforged, so let's just see if there's any Warforged feats. Oh, you know what? We don't have... Let's go here. Playtest. This should now give us access to... I think those feats. There's some dragon marks. Expanded attune. No, where the hell is it? I guess Wayfarer's Guide to Eberron doesn't have any of the Warforged feats. Oh, I thought it might have. In the document I had open here, they do. Somewhere in here. Yeah, Warforged Colossus, Warforged Crane. Like, here's some stuff to boost your Warforge. In this document, but anyway. Alright, so I thought we had the opportunity to boost, like, to basically get, like, you know, plating, like you had back in 3.5, where you could get a feat to give yourself, like, adamantine plate, or make your Warforged body made out of adamantine plate. We don't, though. So I could give him, plate mail, and then his AC would be better, which is fine. So Mizium plate. So our AC at 21. It's way better. Immune to critical hits. Did that? Okay. So, alright. So we got ourselves some Mizium plate mail. We got our Brave Shield. We got our dragon, our Draman Destroyer claws on both arms. The only thing we don't have currently is Great Tornado and Terra Force. So we need to give ourselves some cool stuff. So, how can we add this in? We could just add in custom feat or something that gives us that. But we could go with like a wand, right? Let's see what we do with a wand. So we're a Warforged, right? So we could add a wand sheath, which is an inset inside our body as a Warforged that holds a wand inside us that we can retract in and out of our arm. So we're going to go ahead and add the wand sheath here. And we should be able to see the only problem with the wand sheath is it doesn't let us then add in the wand to it. It's going to treat that as a separate item. Let's see what kind of wands we can get. So wand of fireball, failed experiment wand. What is this? Weird. What book is this from? I have to look that up. I'll write that down, actually. Figure out where that's from. That sounds like an Ack Inc. one. Maybe Lost Laboratory of Koalish. Failed experiment wand. Alright, let's keep going. So there's Wand of Fireballs and Wand of Lightning Bolts. Wand of the War Mage, Wand of Wonder, Wand of Winter. So I think I gotta lean on the Wand of Fireballs, right? I mean, that's our Terra Force ability there. Well, I mean, that's what the wand sheath does, is it slides it into your arm. So we'd have that. Which we could launch from it, what is that? 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Up to an 8th level fireball without risking losing it. I'm gonna just unattune the wand sheath because we know what it does, but a wand of fireballs, and then we need some sort of. One could also argue we could have gone with, instead of a wand, we could have gone with like a staff of fire, right? Which would give us burning hands, fireball, and wall of fire. Trying to think if there's anything there. Damn it. Oh, the wind fan. That could be an interesting one for the Great Tornado. I mean, he can use the staff. Because he actually can use the staff. Oh, it was specific. I thought it was one of the ones that just says you need to be a spellcaster. So Wand of Fireball works, and then we can do the Wind Fan, which is the Wheel of Wind and Water. Where are these ones even coming from? Oh, that's a ship thing. While holding this fan, you can use an action to cast the Gust of Wind spell from it. Once you use the fan, it should be used again until the next dawn. Each time has a consecutive chance of failing. I don't think the Wind Vane Spear. That lets you do all sorts of crazy banana stuff, because it's a legendary item from Princess of the Apocalypse, where you can make devastation orbs and whatnot, but I think the Wind Fan could be our That could be our, what is it, Great Tornado. I'm not sure if there's any other air. Oh, we're not really summoning an elemental. Alright. So I think that's it. I mean, he's a real beefy dude, right? So let's go through his stuff, right? We've got our stats here. 20, 10, 16, 14, 12, 8. Proficiency, half proficiency in acrobatics, sleight of hand, and stealth. Proficiency in athletics, insight, intimidation, and perception. 21 AC. He's got, oh, I guess we could do that, right? Here. Was that an option? Let's find out. Sidekick. Oh, it's only going to give us... Oh, look at that, though. They added in the sidekick mechanics completely up to level 6, because that's what's covered in... what's it called? Dragon of Ice Spire Peak. Here we go. There you go. There's Ty, his commoner partner. So he's got the Dragon Destroyers, the Dragon Slayer, Twin Dragon Slayer longswords that he dual wields. To harken back to some of the lower end kind of fire-based attacks and things he had from Agumon. He's got Chromatic Orb and Dragon's Breath. He's got Gust of Wind from his Wind Fan to simulate the Great Tornado ability he has. The Wand of Fireballs to simulate the Terra Force attack ability. And then Gust is just a freebie. We've got what we're calling the Brave Shield, Agumon's Brave Shield. I'm sorry, Wargreymon's Brave Shield is an animated shield. So what that means is he can dual wield these Dragon Slayer longswords, which we're reskinning as... actually, you know what? Let's just, for clarification, Dragon Destroyer. We'll just put that in there so we don't lose that. Oh, man! I should have guessed with Lysander as a thing. I was like, it's gotta be somebody who's a big Pokemon fan. Lysander. Or Lysander, I guess is probably how it's actually pronounced. Yes, tonight we're building a Digimon, so not exactly our wheelhouse there, Greg, but welcome to the chat. So we have our dual Dragon Slayer longswords, which we're reskinning as the Dragon Destroyer long spiked gauntlets that Wargreymon has on either hand. We're giving him, he's got the, he's a dragon forged, warforged creature here, so he's got internal armor, but we're giving him Mizium Plate, which is a Ravnica item, which is basically adamantine plate, but also gives you bonuses to essentially evasion, but for strength and constitution saving throws. The Wand of Fireballs replicates the Terra Force, and I think the stuff behind the Terra Force attack was basically like a spirit bomb, but in a beam. You were sucking in universal energy from the atmosphere and launching it in a beam. We're just calling that a Wand of Fireballs. Great Tornado was just going to be replicated with a Wind Fan. The Brave Shield is an animated shield, so we can still dual wield these two gauntlets and have the shield flying around protecting us. That's how we've got a 21 AC. Shakespeare. Oh boy. All right. He's added to the list, Greg. I tell you what, if it doesn't happen between now and then, you and I should find time at the next convention we're at, and we should build them live together in person. Because I did that with Jordan for Mr. Wednesday from American Gods. By the way, that video will be hitting YouTube probably this weekend. And then we've got, let's look at our features here, right? So we have our dual weapon fighting, so we can add our ability score modifier to our offhand attack. We've got second wind to get some bonus HP. Action surge for more attacks. We're a champion fighter, so we currently crit on a 19 or 20. We make 3 attacks a turn. We boost our long jump distance. We add a half-hour proficiency bonus to all strength, dex, and con checks we don't normally have a proficiency bonus added to. We can reroll 1 failed saving throw with Indomitable. And we have the defensive stat, which should be factored in here, but it is not. We have the Warforged Resilience ability from being a Dragon Forged. So advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, resistance to poison damage, immunity to disease. We are also an athlete, so we can stand up from prone with only 5 feet. We also boost our long jump even more. And we can use dual long swords because of our dual wielder feat and get a +1 bonus to AC, which is also not factored in here. So this should actually... Oh, no. The fighting style is. So we should get a +1 here as well from our dual wielder feat. So we should actually be rocking a 22 AC. He can fly. He does have wings. So let's go here, and we're just going to give him a 30-foot fly speed. Done. I think he has wings, pretty sure. But yeah, Greg, are you going to PAX Unplugged? Because if you're going to go to PAX Unplugged, I'll see you there. Let's set that date right now. Which would be rad if you were. Because then, between that, I think Sword and Shield will be out by the time PAX Unplugged comes around. Just saying. There's some Pokemon discussion to happen there. So yeah, guys, that's, I think, going to be it for Wargreymon. Yeah, it's wonky. I mean, PAX West. Alright. Yeah, he's got some fly speed or something, I think. Well, D&D Live 2020, if we both make it there, let's make that a thing. So yeah, this is Wargreymon. So what I'm going to do basically here is I'm going to go down to export sheet. If you're unfamiliar with this from D&D Beyond, I'll show you it right now. You can actually export it, and it takes all of the stuff that we just did and very clearly, nicely types it out for you. So it's all available here in a sheet if you wanted to have a printed sheet for your person to have at a convention or otherwise. So all of this stuff is here. So we're going to take this and we're going to save it into a folder, and then I'm going to add that into my existing It Builds Character folder, which I will jump over to right now, which I go to the wrong one every time. But if we check this out, also, let's restart the music. Let's get a little more upbeat music here. So if we go to our It Builds Character folder right here, you can see the character sheets from everybody from the past that we've built over time. Although I think I'm missing number 36 apparently. So I'll have to add in whoever 36 was. And 34. Man, I'm missing stuff. I'm gonna have to go and add them in here. I guess I must not have just exported them out. So I'll make sure I add these people in here. Oh, here you go. 34, 36. So there. Now we're up to date. So you can go ahead and click and see if, like I said, if you go back here and say, click on when I did Tuxedo Mask way back in the day, you can see that it's me. I literally typed everything out. And like back then I didn't know any better, so we were adding like personality traits and things, and that kind of just added stuff we didn't need to worry about. So, and then obviously the newer ones are all, I think we're still doing it in the old way here. Yeah. Oh no, here, you can see here, now it's all done up with D&D Beyond. And then additionally, which is also a benefit, Greg, if we do this in person, because I am currently booked out through probably at this point March of 2020. So let's go here. Wargreymon is 8/14, so let's go here. And we're going to cut these. So here we go. Oops, crap. So here's our plan. So next week, I'm actually really excited because I'm going to go back and watch some Yu Yu Hakusho, because I have not watched Yu Yu Hakusho in years. So next week we're going to be building Yusuke Urameshi from Yu Yu Hakusho. And that was another one of those animes that, like... So I grew up with Toonami, as a lot of people did. I don't know. I don't even know what half these ones are some of the times. But yes, I grew up with Toonami, right? So Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Ronin Warriors, like all of the older school anime, like Rurouni Kenshin. That was like that was my introduction to anime, right? The first anime I watched was Sailor Moon, and then, you know, it all sort of spiraled from there. But like these are what made like my childhood, so that's why I'm really invested in a lot of those. That's why like I think I did a really bang up job when I did Kenshin from Rurouni Kenshin. Like I thought I did that really well because I know that one, the source material, very well. And I do have a very vast pop culture knowledge, so most of these I do know. Some I do not, though. So I do my best to do the research as much as I can between the episode and to cover it. But next week we'll be doing Yusuke Urameshi, and then you can see we've got some other anime stuff in here, right? We've got Sword Art Online. We got some Disney villains here, right? Then we have some character concepts, right? The most viable character using 4 classes. Spoiler alert, probably going to be charisma-based. Final Fantasy, we've got some novel stuff here, right? With Percy Jackson. We did Sephiroth way back in the day, so now we're going to do Cloud. So we'll get Cloud and Sephiroth. We're going to get some Devil May Cry. Got Dune in here. Disney's Treasure Planet. We've got just straight up Norse mythology here in Loki. John Wick, which is always fun when we have to do modern stuff. Bugs Bunny coming up late. We got... I caved. We're doing Sasuke. I recently got a request to do Batman, which is an interesting one because Batman, I could do a month or more of just Batman, and each one would be different. If I did Adam West Batman versus Dark Knight Batman versus animated series Batman versus Batman Beyond. And I'm not like a huge Batman guy, but I think that would be an interesting thing to do. So I did also get Fist of the North Star. Got a request to do people from that. I have a lot of ones coming up. So here's another thing, right? Let's switch over. Let's be real for a second. The reason that It Builds character happens sometimes infrequently is because I don't like to cancel games that I have players related to, right? Streams and things when I have a game that I'm running for players, because that's their enjoyment as much as it is mine. It Builds characters a show that's just me, so it's easier for me to cancel on myself. It sucks, and I hate doing it to cancel on you guys, but if something comes up and I need a break or I need to work on something else or finish something else up for work or otherwise, It Builds character is usually the first one to go, because it's the easiest one to sacrifice. Like, if something came up and I got an opportunity to play in an official game or something like that, that's an option that I can do, and I can cancel it on myself and put it on hiatus. It will never go away forever because I love building characters so much that I want to build more of them. And this is my favorite. This is what I used to do for hours in Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. I used to pour over tomes upon tomes to build characters and concepts just for the fun of it. So I said, if I enjoy this so much, I'm sure there's other people who do. Let me share my experience with you. And I'd say my 5th edition knowledge is pretty broad, and broad and in-depth enough that I can build characters relatively well, as long as they're slightly tied to a pop culture thing I know just the tiniest bit about. So there's actually a Dragon Ball Z monk homebrew out there that somebody made. It's still a monk, but it's basically a Sun Soul monk, but slightly tweaked. I really love building characters, and I like building them with you guys, because a lot of times I'll be set on a path with what I think is correct, and someone in the chat will tell me, you know what, I think they're more this, and I say, you know what, you're right. And then I change to whatever you guys suggest, because sometimes you have a better idea or a better understanding of the source material. And I guess I'll just jump back here, right? So I haven't updated it here, but you can go back and see Season 1. Here's all the Season 1 characters I built, and this is a link right here to the YouTube video of the build. And I have to just update it here, but here's, the Season 2. I did actually, Greg, if you're still in the chat, I built Red as a character. I don't know if you're still here, but I built Red from Pokemon as a 5th edition character back in March, so that video does exist. So that was an interesting build. I'll try to come up with that. Which is what I was kind of talking about when we were doing a Digimon. Like, I feel like you want to build the character, like the trainer or the human class, right? You build that because that's easier to build than the creature, than the Pokemon or the Digimon, because they're like a monster. I don't know if we gave him any language proficiency. That may be how we dealt with it, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, I do want to go back. There's some I want to revisit. Like, I did Iron Man way back in the day with the old original Artificer, and the new one is immensely better. So I'd like to go back and revisit Iron Man to do it with a new version, which is more likely what the published version's going to be. So I think I can make the character just better. We did a Civil War fight, Marvel Civil War, where one of my players who I normally play with played Iron Man, the other one played Captain America, and they were in a free-for-all, or they fought each other. When I build Cloud, we'll do the same thing again. We'll have someone play Cloud and someone play Sephiroth and see who would win in a fight. That kind of a thing. Yep. Yeah, so Ichigo was one. Cloud versus Sephiroth. I'm also thinking if I get enough characters to do a Smash Brothers free-for-all, if I can get 4 players to pick a character from Smash Brothers that I'll end up building, and then we can do a 4-player free-for-all match in D&D, I think that could be pretty fun. Because I've built Link, right? So we've got Link, that's 1. I don't know if I built anybody else. I actually don't think so. So we've got 1. We've got Link. So we'll have to see if we can't get some more in the future to fill that out. Yeah, Smash Brothers is my... I know I have a Pokemon trainer. We just talked about it. So I have Link and I have a Pokemon trainer. So that gets me 2 characters from Smash Brothers. We're going to have Cloud coming up. Bayonetta. Sure, we can add Bayonetta to that. So Cloud is in Smash Bros. So if I build Bayonetta, that gives us 4 characters. So that would be enough to do it, but I'd probably want to build some other ones too. You know what would be really fun to build would be like Kirby as a D&D character. That'd be really wonky. How you deal with the absorption mechanic. Or King Dedede, because I love King Dedede. Pac-Man! Yeah, alright, Brad. We're just building it out. Here we go, Pac-Man. I want to make Pac-Man a paladin, because he's really good at killing undead. Yeah. See, this is what happens. This is how it starts. This is how it started on the first episode. Was just me talking with the chat, and we just had a blast coming up with stupid ideas, and then it just built out to be a massive list. But yeah, I think I think that could be fun. Another decision we also talked about at Gen Con was running a one-shot where I come up with a character non-specific one-shot, and I let the players who I sit to play with at the table, and their list of available characters is every It Builds character that I've ever built. So they pick the class, and it's in some sort of world-agnostic thing where you can fight enemies from any of those universes in some sort of one-shot thing. So, like, you could sit down and be like, yep, Kim Possible joins Tingle from Legend of Zelda, Doctor Strange, and Captain Jack Sparrow, and they go off on an adventure. I think that could be really fun. Yeah, it's fun stuff that I could do, you know, fun light content where there's no real consequences, right, to it. Everybody just have a good time, and then I could just make up. And it's one of those things where it's like the lunchtime battle conversation that I call, like, or what I used to always have in high school, of like who would win in a fight. Except now it's just like, all right, well, if we take these 4 characters and put them in a world and they had to fight like the ghosts from Pac-Man, they had to fight Dodongos from Legend of Zelda, and the final boss was Diablo from the first Diablo game. Would they be able to do it? And like that could be a fun thing that I could do, and I would enjoy that. So yeah, it's, you know, it's a fun thing to think about. So that's more stuff to come in the future. I really love Dungeons and Dragons, obviously, and I love building characters. And these all sound like great ideas for just really weird, fun stuff. You know, and I mean, like, I could do like a free-for-all, like it's, all right, we're gonna do a free-for-all player versus player, only sword fighters. And now you're like, all right, well, that's gonna give us access to Captain Jack Sparrow, Ichigo, Sephiroth, the Warforged pirate that I built, Samurai Jack, Link, depending on the Power Ranger you pick, a Power Ranger, Rurouni Kenshin, and then, you know, wherever else we land in the future, like Alucard, and that'd be a fun one too. Fun stuff to think about. So yeah, I'm always up for suggestions. You can feel free to leave them here in the chat when we're talking. You can feel free to message them to me on social media. Alucard versus Belmont is definitely something I have thought about. Castlevania is one of, if not my favorite video game series of all time. I have some long squirreled away on a flash drive or a hard drive, this like 60-page Castlevania fan fiction from when I was in the 7th grade, that I just continue to write upon. That will never see the light of day, but it exists. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been an absolute blast. I love hanging out with you guys. So I'll do the thing, right? Couple of sponsors here in Elderwood Academy and Initiative Coffee Company. This Sunday, Celeste will be back running, I'm not sure what the module is off the top of my head, but Mistress of Modules will be back on Sunday, so come check it out. Celeste will be running another group of people through a 1 or 2 shot, so that's always a good time. And then there'll be more videos hitting the YouTube this week, including a close-up and review of Elderwood Academy's mini spellbooks, which were unveiled at Gen Con. I think the last little bit of my Gen Con coverage. There's some discussion-based D&D videos about feats at first level and things like that. The other It Builds character videos. Catching up on my reviews of the Acquisitions Incorporated stuff that I didn't get to. And then I've been in contact with my friends at WizKids, so we're going to have some unboxing and reviews of some of the new Descent into Avernus mini stuff. The Infernal War Machine miniature. They're also releasing a 3-Dragon Anti-Legendary Edition. So if you're not familiar with 3-Dragon Anti, it is an in-universe Faerun Dungeons & Dragons game. It's like a card game, right? You'll see, like, if you get proficiency with playing with, like, a gaming set, one of the options is 3-Dragon Ante, and that is a card game that they play in Faerun, and it's like almost like a war kind of scenario, but with a betting mechanic. And WizKids is releasing an updated, brand new version of that coming out relatively soon, so I'm going to be reviewing that as well. As a big fan of the original, I have the old one from the 90s that they put out. So they're going to make an actual game of it, an updated version, so that, like, if your players are playing it in a tavern in the game, you can sit down and actually play the game at your table as well. So I'll have a review of that. We'll see how it stacks up compared to the original, and what makes it so legendary for a legendary edition. Oh, and I guess lastly, Monday will be the wrap-up of Rise of Tiamat. we decided to end the campaign after the way it ended so perfectly last Monday. We're going to do a wrap-up episode, chat, Q&A with all of you guys in the chat. So come to see that. Plenty of planned one-shots for the future to finish up the storyline beats that we did not get to finish. And what'll happen going forward on Monday nights, I don't know. I may try to just fill it with some, character building, world building, map building stuff to fill this time slot. I might bring back Monday Night Smash, where I'll just go online and play some Smash Bros. And see how I do in the meantime. Bring back MMO Monday from back in the day and try to get back from, we're talking 8 years ago. No, 7 years ago. Just play some MMOs. Who knows? I don't know. Stuff's coming out. I want to keep content rolling out on the channel consistently. Keep you guys entertained. So that's it for me, though. So thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, you know what we should do? I know what we should do. Let's go over here. Let me figure out how I do this. It's been a while. I'm really bad at it. Come play Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, I was doing... Wait, is it not happening? Might just... Oh, you know what? It was last week. That's why. I was like, let's go raid the Venture Maiden stream, but they're not playing this week. They played last week. So... Right? Yeah, they're not playing this week. No. Okay, so we can't go raid the Venture Maiden stream because they're not playing. But yes, maybe I will. I'm not a huge Final Fantasy guy, but maybe 14 will change my mind. I've gotten really back into Guild Wars 2, which is how I got started doing podcasting and everything. I caught up with most of all of the story with that, so I'm back into it. And a group of us, from D&D Live, we're jumping back into Neverwinter. Because there's been a lot of overhauls to Neverwinter to make it more 5th edition friendly, because it was all 4th edition based, and now they're making it more, it's still a wonky, clunky system, and they pulled out a lot of the stuff that I really liked about Neverwinter. But it's alright, get your dragon fix, killing dragons as a paladin, which I like to do, so. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Garfital, yes, you did miss the entire show, unfortunately. But, however, when this show ends, I'm going to rerun the whole show immediately after. So if you stay in the chat, I will just rerun it from the top. Although, obviously, you won't get to play along in the chat with us, because it's already going to kind of be determined. But you'll get to see the whole thing if you hang out right after. So, again... if you haven't followed the channel or any of that or the social medias, I would recommend that you go do that, because that's the best way to stay up to date with when we go live. Twitter, probably the best option, but, here on Twitch and YouTube to see the videos after they come out. It's the best way to keep in touch and up to speed on what's going on here on the channel. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.